All sports, all plays. Yeah. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making a plays. You talking the game, get you to the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays. Yeah.
Good morning. It's the coach. It's just me today. Hopefully some more people will drop on, but we still got to continue. It's week 17, touchdown crew. We in this thing. So today we're gonna drop it off. Pretty much talking about COVID. It's crazy how the ones that's not vaccinated. You got Wentz, you got Cousins. They're out for COVID. Right now, Wentz. He got back on. He has to go through more tests because since he's not vaccinated, so he has to do his. And then you have Cousins. He's out. An important move for the playoffs. I think this is probably the first time in years where you can sit there and look and you have multiple teams. In the AFC, you have 12 teams still able to make the playoffs. So in the AFC, you have the Titans at number 2. Possibility the Colts, if they went out and the Titans lose 2, Colts can jump to number 2 or 3. Then you have the Pats. A lot of people they had a lucky roll. I think they had a 7-game winning streak. They beat 2 of those teams that was on a winning end, and they made plays. They beat the people they were supposed to beat. And I think that's one thing about it. So I have to give Bill credit. He won the games that he's supposed to win. After beating the Bills, then the losing started. They're 1-2 the last 3 games. Beat the Bills, got embarrassed by the Colts. You lose to the Bills. And one thing you can say talk about the Patriots is, to be honest with you, they can't stop the run. They're not physical. They're good pass rushers. Secondary is good. You got one, I can't even think his name right now. He has 10 interceptions. 10 interceptions in in the season. So you can't knock what Bill's doing. I always said it from the beginning. I always thought Bill was a good coach, possibly a great coach, but I don't think he's the GOAT, the greatest of all time. But he got the Patriots in the playoffs. If they went out at 9-6, they played the Jaguars and they played the Dolphins. Speaking of the Dolphins, you talk about now, Miami came out of nowhere. I don't understand. I never understood Miami, how Miami is one of the teams that's pretty much started the season terrible. He was like, what is this? What's going on? But halfway through the season, they start booming, winning games. They're at 8-7 right now. If the playoffs was started, they'd be number 7 seed. Today, they have the Titans. Have a great chance. They beat the Titans, then which I picked at the end. For some reason, I don't know why New England. I always have trouble playing in Miami. Maybe going in 10-degree weather, hot, cold, snowing, to 80-degree humid has something to do with it. But I really like what Miami's doing right now. I truly believe that they could beat the Titans because their defense is booming. They're doing a great job, and that's one of the big keys of it. And then you can say Tua came out of nowhere and pretty much did his thing. He's done his thing these last six games. They're on a winning streak. They beat the teams who they were supposed to beat. They beat the team they weren't supposed to beat. So I like Miami. I like their chances. And then at 8, you have Baltimore. The Baltimore Ravens. They're on their 7th-string corner, 8th-string safety, 5th-string running back, and you don't even know if Lamar Jackson is playing. And I think that's a question that you should ask, as should he play even though he's hurt because you're at must-win mode? or do you rely on the rookie, which has not played bad? To be honest with you, he would have won the games that he played in if Harbaugh would have just kicked the field goal instead of going for two. So the rookie actually that came out of nowhere that no one really truly talked about has actually played well. He throws the ball, in my opinion, way better than Lamar because maybe he's more of a packet passer compared to Lamar, who's I'm gonna beat you with my legs and then trying to throw it because he's relying on more of his athletic ability. So that's the question. In my opinion, I would sit Lamar because what's the point? You hurt him, y'all win the game. You know he's not gonna be able to perform for the playoffs. Your backup Tyler is actually productive. You just need everybody else. You need that secondary. Make a stop. Guard somebody in the secondary. Just make some stops. That defense, pass rush. Come on. I think that's the one thing. If defense do their job, offense is gonna put up at least 21 points. Of course, they play the Rams. They play the Rams today. That's gonna be a tough game. If the Rams do what they did in the past, run the ball. If you run the football and you rely on the run, then guess what? You'll be fine. Eckler's back. Of course, he's probably only going to get maybe 10 to 12 carries. That's what I would do, even though since you're around, you already know you're in the playoff. I would lean more on the run game, less on Stafford. I think Stafford is what Stafford was, even with the Dolphins. Limit him to 30 passes a game. Don't put him in the 40, 50 range. I don't think he's good enough to do that. But I think he's consistent at a 30 pass range. But again, it's funny. Ravens survived the entire year. They was the number 1 seed, number 2 seed, number 1 seed, number 2 seed. And then they're at 8-7. If you really, really think about it, they really should be 10-5 right now. Jim Harbaugh he went for it, which is understandable. I kind of understand. That's that we're in that Madden era, that Madden age where people pretty much, I mean, it's just like playing Madden, and they said that a lot of the younger coaches, they don't do analyticals as much. They just treat it like they're playing Madden. Go for it on fourth down, take risks, don't kick field goals, and just go for the win. And the last one against Green Bay, I think he should have kicked the field goal. You had momentum. You was driving. Defense was doing their thing. But I can understand. And I think sometimes we get in our heads because we look across that field. We look at our secondary. I'm on my fifth string cornerback. I'm on my fifth string safety. Everybody's out. They got Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. So I in a way, I understand why he did it. But sometimes you just say, hey, defense, we're going to rely on you to get this stop so we can go kick this field goal or go score this touchdown in overtime. Now, at 9 in the AFC conference, you have the Chargers. Oh. Sometimes they look like a Super Bowl team. Sometimes they look like dumpster juice. And last week, they sure looked like dumpster juice at the wrong time. You play against the Texans, who was battling, who was in the run for the third or fourth pick in the NFL draft. Just demolished them. Lovie Smith did his thing on defense, killing them with the cover two, mixing it up with some man. Had Herbert all confused. Of course, they didn't have Mike Williams. Mike Williams been out. He's been in and out of the lineup. But you still have Herbert, which is a rising quarterback in the league. A lot of people love him. Has a great arm. Actually, he fits the bill. He looks like a quarterback. He's active. He has the long hair. He's in San Diego, California, and he can he can make every throw. With Keenan Allen at receiver, he's a top 10 receiver. So, but they just got demolished. I mean, I think that's the thing. I think when you look at the San Diego Chargers, you see a very, very, very soft team. Very soft. and you can see it against the teams that are physical. They don't show up. They punk out, and it's not looking good because you got the Broncos today. One thing about it is Broncos want to play defense. They're gonna want to run the ball, and you got Teddy check down. Everybody knows Teddy check down. If he plays, I don't know if he passed the concussion yet or Drew Lock. Guess what? They're gonna control the clock and they're gonna try to beat your brakes in like that. And I think the Chargers is again very, very soft. They got great pass rushers, but they're soft up the middle, and that secondary won't want to make a tackle against running backs. So it's not, to me, it's not looking good for them. Then again, you're playing the Raiders. Man, we all know how the Raiders are, which is the number 10 spot. Oh, look, somebody decided to come join me. Hold on. Well, good morning. Oh, Mike. Oh, well, hello, sir.
I've been awake, sir.
Oh, hey. Well, it's good to see you, sir.
It's an unfortunate circumstance. Today was the very first real snow in the city, so the internet and everything else always has a hard go once it starts, but hopefully that's the last of that. But I truly apologize, sir.
No, it's all good. Just me, just rambling. Man, going back, I was just talking about the AFC, how the AFC seating look right now.
Oh, yeah, Josh Allen's pretty elite. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So since I didn't even get to the Bills because pretty much I put the Bills already in the playoffs. We already knew that. And to be honest, since you said that, I can honestly say Josh Allen played a hell of a game last Sunday. He did his thing. At that, never. First off, I still can't put him in the elite level. I'm not.
No, I'm just playing.
Because I think we talked about it earlier. We talk about it all the time, and I know y'all joking about it all the time with my wording. With him, I don't put him in elite yet. I got to see what he does in the playoffs and say, okay, he's at the elite level. And because go ahead.
I would look for like consistency throughout a regular season because like Matthew Stafford never goes to the playoffs, but I would say he's an elite quarterback.
No. You still think he's elite?
I think
Hold on. We'll talk about the Rams in a minute. So here's a question. We'll go back to the Ravens since we're talking about elite. Lamar Jackson. Do you think he should play today, even though he's still hurt? He's probably at 70%.
See, the problem with that is Huntley like available or no?
Yeah, he's good now.
He's good. All right.
A little bit.
See, the problem with that is the seedings are just so crazy. I think. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is playing. Matthew Stafford is playing. A bunch of other quarterbacks that are banged up. Coach, not a single quarterback really walks into the playoffs healthy, relatively. There's always something. But whatever's going on with Lamar, I think the Bengals are at your neck. And the Steelers, honestly, aren't that far off from it either, from taking that second spot. And Big Ben understands that this is probably one of his last games as well as a Steeler. So I wouldn't count them out of it either. They're only 7-7 and 1. But
yeah, I know.
That one's really hurting them right now, Coach. That tie to the Lions is really hurting them. But yeah, I think he should play just because you are that close from just taking the division. And honestly, you're also that close from ending up in third place and missing the playoffs. So I would start Lamar. I think you kind of have to. That's just me personally, because I know the Bengals are 9-6, the Ravens are 8-7, the Browns are 7-8, and the Steelers are 7-1. And I know the Browns are in fourth, but I put them above the Steelers because the Steelers tied to the Lions. So that's just awful, in my opinion. But
yeah, I honestly, truthfully, from what I've seen, and I said it earlier in this broadcast before you popped on, I said you should start Tyler Huntley.
Yeah,
I really think you should start him. And the only reason I say that is because
he's had some games. He's had some games. I'll give him that.
What if he gets hurt?
Huntley?
Lamar.
Lamar.
What if you make it worse? Like I think because they said he came to practice, they said he was limping and everything else. So it's like, why?
Oh, is it to that extent?
They said he was limping at practice.
I thought 70% was like relatively decent. That sounds horrible.
They said he was limping, so that means he can't run.
Right.
So now that he can't run, now he has to sit there and throw in the pocket. He's not. Let's just be honest. He's not a pocket passer.
No, I mean, I think you can catch him on a good day. Like there's going to be days where he throws 400 yards, but it's not. If you had to stick a label onto Lamar Jackson, pocket passer is the last thing I'm putting it on there. You know?
Yeah.
What I mean?
So let me ask you this: If I said 70, that's since he was limping. If he's
Listen, coach, you talking about that's the athlete in you. That's the competitor in you. When you limping from an owner's perspective, that's a good 40.
Okay, if you want to say 60, we say 60. I don't want to say 40. Even if you say 60 or you say 40, is this 40 or 60, 40 to 60% better than Huntley's? 100%?
No, I don't think so.
I
don't think so.
And I think that's the thing. Because keep in mind, Huntley hadn't played bad in the game.
He won a couple games.
He would have beat Green Bay if they kicked the field goal.
Right. And
he brought him back.
Chicago's defense. He beat a bunch of guys. Like we're looking at it. The thing with Huntley, and it's the common misconception with a lot of Ravens fans right now that I'm seeing is you're expecting him to be that guy. You're expecting him to be consistent. He doesn't need to be consistent. He just needs to be serviceable. You just need to be able to stay in the game, and you need to rely on your defense to be good enough to do it. And the problem is when you don't have a Gus Edwards, when you don't have J.K. Dobbins, when you don't have a run game to help support Huntley, that's where it's going to be, okay, you do have to rely on Huntley. But I think as of right now, I'm saying, because today could be a totally different day and Huntley can look awful and Coach and I could be, putting our foots in our mouths. But Huntley's looked relatively good. Like Huntley has looked like they have a better situation with Huntley than the Bears do with all three of their quarterbacks that are getting paid over $10 million. Like that's just the truth of the matter. And it's coming to this situation to where his game isn't that drastically different from Lamar. So it's whether or not you want to take that risk. So I think with Huntley, I think it's perfectly fine if you start Huntley. I don't see any problem with it. It's the same game plan. That's the reason why you have Huntley there and not somebody like a Marcus Mariota or an Andy Dalton or a Nick Foles or someone along those lines, is because you understand it's literally the same game plan. And this, by starting Huntley, you just get a healthier version and a less talented version of Lamar Jackson. And that's up to Harbaugh, who I want to give him his credit. And you have to prove it to me. Don't be like your brother. Don't be like Jim now. It's going to be bad if you act like Jim. You're going to mess around and lose all my respect. But it's definitely a situation to where I think it's tough. This is the tough decisions that head coaches have to make, is because this either rides on you making the playoffs or not. But it also rides on, if you get in there and Lamar is not healthy, are you just going to be a first-round exit? So what's the point of even making it? You know what I mean? So, and that's a big problem too, is, Coach, you always talk about it, the health of mobile quarterbacks. And Lamar has been relatively healthy. We've already seen Justin Fields in his first year already banged up a bunch of times. We've seen, Deshaun Watson tear his ACL. We've seen a bunch of other guys get hurt, Michael Vick, so on and so forth. Lamar's been relatively healthy. So if you want to risk Lamar having his first serious injury, that's on you. But I wouldn't. It's hard, but I wouldn't do it just over a playoff game.
Yeah, but I think, like, I'm kind of with Randy. I think John's gonna prove himself, and I think he's gonna.
Oh, no doubt. Jim stay in college. Jim to the Bears is the worst thing I've seen in the ACM Network group chat. No.
But if you look at it, and I'm looking at Huntley's last 3 games, 219 yards. He had 1 interception against Chicago. His QBR was 76. But he came back against Cleveland, 270, 1 touchdown.
Right.
99.7 is his quarterback rating. Then when he played Green Bay, 215, 2 touchdowns, 99.5 QB rating. Like, he hasn't played bad. 215 yards is not bad. And then you got to keep in mind, he didn't have all the receivers because some of them are in and out, some of them hurt, some of them COVID. So me personally as a coach, I'd rather rest Lamar because we all know when Lamar's not going to give you much if he can't run. But then you give him these 2 extra weeks. If you win the game, you get these 2 extra weeks where you can make the playoffs. Possibility depends on who wins and loses.
Right.
And do your thing.
Right. And you also,
I think that's
for me at least, it's what are you going to the playoffs to do? You know what I mean? Like what is the big end goal here? And you understand that you're already going in shorthanded. So if you lose Lamar and you have no run game, you're a first round exit. And Harbaugh knows that. But
the whole point of it is you just want to get invited to the party.
Right.
Because if you go back and you look and you think about it, not too many people had Tampa Bay winning it when they started the playoffs.
Right.
Because you said, they went to Washington. Close game. Ooh, they barely beat Washington.
They did.
They got to go back to New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they over. They got smacked. Right. Oh, now they got to go to Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers this and that. Like, that's the whole point. The beautiful thing about the playoffs. You just want to get invited.
Right. The thing is now, though, Coach, would you say they're at a point now with Lamar Jackson? You know, you already have an MVP. You went 14-2. You've had seasons where you've come into the playoffs. When are you going to not just get invited, but when are you going to take advantage of your situation and actually start winning championships? Because not to say that Kansas City's done, because they're not, but on a down year, this is the kind of year where you can catch them down bad on that defense in a game.
But let me ask you this. Do you really they say they're down? Because if you really think about it.
Compared to what they were, yeah.
But if you think about it, Mike, let's take the record. 12-4, correct?
Right.
12-4.
And that's the craziest part. That's a down year.
But that's what I'm saying. 12-4. If they lost one game week 2, they lost another game week 8, they lost another game week 10, and they lost another game week 15. And we say, hey, they 12-4. Will we still consider that a down year? Or we just saying that because they went over at the beginning?
For that standard, I think it is. Of that standard of them being these, I'm playing a video game type roster. Like all these guys are 99s and all these guys are star powered. But we've seen flashes of like them, how they can be compromised and them going off to be 0-3 and them having their issues to start the season. What were they in the beginning of the year? Like 3-3. It was rough. It was rough. But it's definitely a situation to where you understand you can catch them off guard. You can understand that, they were trying to experiment with some things. Then the greatest corner to ever grace God's earth and Mike Hughes for the Kansas City Chiefs really just put that defense together. That's just me personally speaking. I think, he is amazing. There is no bias there. But it's at some point you're going to have to say, Coach, I look at it like this. Right now, who are we talking about in the AFC? We're talking about Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert took the reins from Lamar Jackson and the Ravens as being one of those guys in the favorite. We're talking about Joe Burrow.
Hold on. What do you mean by who we talking about? As in what?
Like when you look at the young quarterbacks in the AFC, you're looking at Joe Burrow, you're looking at Justin Herbert, you're looking at Patrick Mahomes, and you're looking at others. Lamar Jackson's slipping through those cracks. So you're gonna have to start to do something.
But you know why? And real quick, I'm one of the biggest reasons why is because it's what he does week 18. Well, this case, week 18 and the playoffs. He hasn't shown up in the playoffs.
Right.
I mean,
and that's like you have to you can't just keep coming to the party and then leaving early. You have to start doing something or it's going to be a problem.
Yeah, but I agree with Randy when he talked about the Chiefs. Hey, the defense is looking way better.
Yeah,
they look better this year than they did last year. They're a lot more physical, which is good, especially against all these passing quarterbacks. I mean, they're in the AFC West. shoot, everybody has a good quarterback to throw the thing around. But I agree. I think one thing about Lamar Jackson is that I don't think that he's not the prototypical quarterback. Because if you look, again, we talked about it all the time. When have you seen a guy like Lamar Jackson that runs first, won a Super Bowl? Closest one is what? Probably Cam Newton. And Cam Newton was 6'4", 250.
Cam ain't win no Super Bowl.
But I said closest.
Oh yeah. I hear you.
He's the closest one.
Right.
So when you look at Justin Herbert is the typical prototype quarterback that everybody wants.
Right.
I mean, that's the thing. Everybody wants a quarterback like him because he looks like a quarterback. And you can even go back and say Josh Allen the same way.
Right.
Josh Allen came in with a lot of hype, but he kind of fizzed out. But even Herbert, and I like Herbert. I think he's a good quarterback. I think he's young. I just think they're a soft team. I think San Diego. I think the Chargers is a very, very soft team. And hence the fact that's why they are where they are. Because one thing about it, we talk about you look at game changers. We talk about quarterbacks. It's because it's a quarterback-driven league. We already knew that. I know Randy probably gonna hate this. Aaron Rodgers probably gonna win the MVP. MVP is for quarterbacks, not running backs. But if you look,
Jonathan Taylor deserves that award.
He's gonna get Offensive Player of the Year. How? Oh,
no, I hear you. Coach.
Time out. Let me ask you this. And I'm gonna say this, and I want your opinion, and we're gonna get back on topic. What are you trading for Jonathan Taylor?
I think what your value is worth versus your
No. If you right now for the Chicago Bears, say Montgomery got hurt, he's done, he's getting released. What are you trading for Jonathan Taylor?
Randy, don't be mad at me, but I would not trade anything more than a 4th-round pick.
Okay, now what are you trading for Aaron Rodgers? If Fields wasn't there,
probably a 1st. But here's what I'm saying: your value versus your impact to that team are two different things. Now, you take Jonathan Taylor away from the Indianapolis Colts, and I promise you, they are a top 5 lottery pick. Now, you take Aaron Rodgers away from the Green Bay Packers, and I promise you, there's a chance they still win that division.
Oh, no. No. Stop. No, Mike. Don't do that.
That's
because
fact.
How you talked about Jordan Love?
I hate Jordan Love, but I think they could figure it out without Jordan Love. You still have Devontae Adams. You still have Aaron Jones. You still have Matt LaFleur. You still have a bunch of guys that can still do it. So it's a situation to me, when you look at it, Coach, does Aaron Rodgers – answer me this. I'm going to ask you something. Does Aaron Rodgers play defense? No. Does Jonathan Taylor play defense?
No.
So how can Jonathan Taylor win Offensive Player of the Year and he doesn't win the MVP over Aaron when it's just based off of offensive production? And Jonathan beat him by a mile.
Because that's how they do it.
But that's what I'm saying, though.
But you can actually win. You can win both. But I just have when here's the thing.
I think if Jonathan wins Offensive Player of the Year, it's everything's messed up. That's just me.
Yeah, but I would say this.
I miss Marlon Mack too.
But what I'm saying is when you turn on ESPN, when you listen to anything sports radio, who names other than being in Indianapolis, who names come up first?
Quarterbacks, but that's just the narrative to be taught.
And
that's what we're talking about, though. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying. It's not, and that's the thing that you got to realize. And also you got to realize, Colts is a 5th seed. Aaron Rodgers is the number 1 seed.
Right. And I hear you, but here's the thing.
That's what I'm just telling you, that's what people are gonna look at.
Right.
Because this is even in high school.
Right.
Like even I've seen high school coaches, head coaches, they pick whoever won the district.
Right.
If that quarterback was good, guess what they do? hey, even though other quarterbacks is better, they say, hey, this quarterback led them to the playoffs. They're number one in the district or conference, whatever people call it outside of Texas. Boom, off top.
Right. And my thing is, it's always been that way. I say it, and it always comes out as like the hottest thing I'll ever say, but it is the most racist award to a position.
I agree.
It is. It straight up is, because it's the same concept of its quarterbacks are the hierarchy of everything, and everything else is just disgusting, and we don't want anything to do with it, and it'll never give them a shot. Derrick Henry can rush for 3,000 yards, have 1,000 yards receiving, and he'll still probably have to fight off Tom Brady for it. But it is what it is. But JT definitely earned all my respect, and I've been rocking with him since he was a Badger, so I'm happy for him. But it's definitely his award for the taking. And if he wins Offensive Player of the Year and not MVP, the whole thing is just a mess to me.
Yes. Randy, I'm gonna comment on that when we get to the NFC. Hey, here we go. Going back to the AFC. Continue. We talked about Miami. But right now, if the playoffs was over, Miami would be number 7. Today they play the Titans, and the final game is the Patriots. You think they have a chance to make the playoffs?
Man, I think it's I don't want to be like the Debbie Downer, you know? But I do think that the last two teams you are playing can game plan for Tua very well. And I think the Titans are going to give you work, because the Titans have been giving everyone work. That's just how they are. I think you won 7 games straight. That's awesome. But you also lost 7 straight. So it comes to that point to where the ride has to stop eventually. And I think, unfortunately, it might stop here. And I think you might actually lose 2 games straight. And that's very unfortunate. But I think Bill Belichick and that New England defense are very good, very maintained, and very patient for their opportunities. They don't really go out of their way to make mistakes. They don't go out of their way like someone named Trevon Diggs, who's always looking for an interception and then loses his man coverage. That's a problem. Bill's defense, coach, whether you love him or not, it is very, very, very just ready to wait for their opportunities, and they stay very patient, and they do their job, and they act accordingly. And Tua's a little reckless on that regard. Tua will make mistakes, and they will take advantage of those opportunities. Now, as for the Titans, Ryan Tannehill has not given me the opportunity to speak down on him, even with A.J. Brown out, even with, Julio Jones and Derrick Henry and others. He's just living in the moment, and he's doing his thing. So I think this week's going to be tough for them, but I do think they lose to New England. But it's going to be hard. It's going to be really hard for them to get in. But the fact that they're in the conversation after starting 0-7 is really solid. So I'll give them the respect where credit is due. And that connection with Tua and Jalen Waddle is really something special. And I think that's going to be something interesting to look into next year, because they are Alabama boys, same as Jamar and Joe with LSU. Like they know each other. They have a connection. So going in the next year, in the year 2 for Jalen's going to be even better. But yeah, I think the ride stops here, but I think it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. I agree with you to a degree. I honestly think
they could pull it off, though. I think they could.
I think the Dolphins gonna win out. I said it earlier in the year. 5 games in, I think the Dolphins gonna win out. I think.
I never heard you say that, but I'll let you have your little moment. I'll let you have your moment.
I said, first off, I had the Dolphins going in the playoffs.
I heard that.
No, and then let's stop, because I said they would be number 2 in the NFC East, because they'll beat the Patriots. I said the Patriots are going to lose to the Colts. Patriots are going to lose to the Bills.
You said the Patriots are going to lose to everybody.
No, I don't. And then they're going to win today, because they play the Jaguars. But I said they're going to lose to the Dolphins. For some reason, they have – I don't know what the record is, but they suck in Miami. They always play like crap in Miami, no matter what.
Right.
It's always been either a good game or they lose and take that L. Here's why I think they're going to struggle with Miami. Miami's in the top 10 stopping the run.
Right.
I really think they're going to stop the run and they're going to say, hey, throw the ball. Now you flip it. New England can't stop the run. They've been struggling against the run. And then they're at the bottom half of stopping the run. So that's what a lot of teams did. I think they just one thing about it, honestly, truthfully, if we really just sit here and we think about it, Titans, Browns, those two games that they played against New England, they were lucky because guess what? Browns didn't have a running back. Titans didn't have a running back.
Right.
If they had the two running backs, we wouldn't even be talking about them even making the playoffs.
Mm.
But I think, again, it's not that I don't hate the Pats. I don't live in the past with a lot of people because when they say Bill, oh, he's this, that. I just don't live in the past with it. I just look at what he does now. But again, I give him credit. He won the games that he was supposed to win. And I just see they'll beat the Jaguars today. They're going to beat the crap out of them. Then everybody's going to be on the bandwagon again about New England. They're talking about New England in the Super Bowl until they lost to the Colts and the Bills again. Now everybody kind of jumped off. But I think Tua's going to do his thing. With the Titans, they probably run the ball, control the clock. Their defense is going to hold it because Dolphins' defense is looking good. And I think against New England, they're going to run the ball. And Tua just got to make certain throws.
Yeah, I think it's all comes down to Tua at the end of the day. And I hate to say that, but it's a situation to where he's excelling right now, and you just need him to stay in that grind and in that mode. But that's always been Tua's problem, is consistency and staying healthy. But if he can continue what he's doing right now, I don't see why they don't. But I just think at some point streaks end, and that's fine. Like it's nothing to knock. Like 7 straight is great, but it's down the wire. I've never seen Tua battle tested like that. So this is your playoffs right now. Like it starts today. A lot of people is going to start in 2 weeks, but for Miami it starts today because you have to win every single game. And I haven't seen Tua under that kind of pressure before. But I hope he does it. Honestly, I really do.
I mean, but honestly, truthfully, it's gonna probably come down. It'll probably come down to the last game.
Yeah,
New England versus, because if you go, and I'm just calling them off. I'll call out 8 through 12 in the season. You have Baltimore plays the Rams. You have the Chargers play the Broncos. You have the Vegas play the Colts. Steelers play the Browns. We all know how the Steelers are. They're up and down. You got the Broncos play the Chargers, which I already said, and then you got the Browns who play the Steelers. Right. So technically, even if they lose this one,
they have a shot.
They still have a shot.
Right.
But I think they'll beat the Titans. And I think they'll win out, honestly, right. Truthfully.
And that's my thing too, though, it's the same situation with the Titans. Is you're on a good run. You know, Derrick Henry's gone, but at some point it's going to end. And I feel like at the end of the day, like especially weeks like this is the battle test of who's the most patient and who actually has a legitimate game plan versus who's just riding a wave. So I definitely do think at the end of the day you're gonna get that. You're gonna find that out very quickly today. I don't think it's gonna be a very close game. I think you're either gonna find out who's real and who's not very fast versus the two. And I'm hoping it's Miami because I don't really like Ryan Tannehill as a player, but I think he's a good player, but I'm not a fan of him. I'm a fan of Tua. I'm a fan of his story. So I'm really curious to see how he plays, but I hope it works out.
Okay. So going on, Chargers. They play the Broncos. They play the Raiders. Obviously, you don't really think they're going to make it because you have New England, you got Miami making the playoffs. So how do you feel about the Chargers this year? Do you consider this a winning season for them? Not going to say Super Bowl caliber, which no one had them picked like that.
No. I'm always in the same boat to where if you're not trying to get a top 5 pick and you're not trying to make a Super Bowl, it was a wasted season. And that's where I stand on everything. I think, especially with the Bears, like even as a Bears fan, coach, I hold myself to it. Like 8-8. I don't know who was saying it in the chat that I'm comfortable with 8-8, but I'm not. Like it's a wasted season. Like why did we even do this? You know what I mean? Like we're not good enough to get a top 10 pick. we're not good enough to make the playoffs. Like, what's the point of it? So when the Bears have a 4-11 season, that's perfectly fine. Now we don't have the pick. Okay, another wasted season. Like, it doesn't make sense. Even when you're bad, it's a wasted season without the pick. So for their situation, I think it's good. It's a good season for Justin Herbert. It shows that, okay, this kid, unlike Josh Allen, can come into year 2 and be consistent and show you that he can duplicate those same numbers. That's perfectly fine. But for me, I think it's a depth thing. Like, I think what makes the Cincinnati Bengals so good is that defense has depth. And I think a lot of people don't even recognize that. These guys can rotate and they can come in and out, and guys are coming in and out of motions and in and out of, different situations, and they can really set you up in that way. And I think that's what makes them really deep. The same thing with New England. I think they're really deep. The thing with the Chargers is, like you said, I don't think guys like Eckler and Keenan Allen and Justin Herbert are soft necessarily, or even Bosa. But there are a lot of guys on the rest of that team that are soft because they just don't have enough depth for these guys to be able to get a break. And I think they get exposed very quickly. I think the Chargers are a few free agent pieces away, not even big name free agent pieces, and just a decent draft. Doesn't have to be great, but it is a deep class overall. You might be able to get away with a couple wide receivers in there, Chris Olave or a couple others. But I think at the end of the day, I want the Chargers to make it. I just don't have them making it, but I want them to make it. I think if they make it, they could shock the world. I think they could. Like, I'll go out there and I'll say that. But it's something to where you got to start doing something, because just like Lamar Jackson, this kid is great, only goes so far. You got to start getting invited to the party.
Yeah. But, and I say this off because when you're 29th against the run.
Right.
And
that's why you have nice names, but you're not deep at all.
Yeah, but I just really, truly.
Like, can you coach personally? Like, can you name 5 players on that defense? Because outside of Bosa and a couple others, I can't.
No, I can't name 5.
Right. That's what I mean. Like,
that's the thing.
Nice names on there.
But I'm not even. But I'm
no,
not.
Right, but you don't have to. Like,
here's the thing, man. Over the years, Chargers always find a way. No matter who's at quarterback, no matter who's on the team, they always find a way to lose.
And that's my thing, though, is because they've never established that depth. They've never established that championship mentality where every single guy on your roster, like Tampa, everybody on Tampa is ready to go, whether it be the starters or whether it be the new guys. They're all ready to go. And the difference is with that is, with the Chargers, you have guys who are there. They're just not ready to go. They're not ready to perform.
But
that's hard.
But even if you look at Bosa, what is Bosa known for?
Bosa's being his brother. He's being the brother.
Yeah, and he's a pass rusher.
Right.
You got to stop the run.
He's the second best Bosa, though. That's the problem.
Well, of course. And like Randy says, yes, in the NFL, you win with quarterback and line play on both sides. Mm-hmm. I agree with you. And I've said it from the beginning. The O-line play has been trash. The only offensive line that's actually been good, you can really say, is the Colts, and you can say Tennessee. Legitimately, they can say it's been good.
Yeah, I think it's valid.
Because everybody else has been it's been mediocre. And that's why
we were the Cleveland Browns. We had such high expectations, but it's just
they're getting whooped.
It did not translate.
Vegas plays the Colts, and then they backdoor and they play the Chargers. You don't have them making the playoffs. Again, they are 8-7. Do you consider this a winning season? Even though I know you don't think mediocre is this, and that. But after everything that happened.
No, it's bad. It's bad. You go into next year really only understanding one thing, and it's that, let's be real here, Coach. Like, if we're having like a legitimate conversation, like, that owner knew that's who John Gruden was. We're not gonna sit here and act like he didn't. Everyone knew that's who John Gruden was. You just didn't have any emails to really put anything onto it. But everyone's heard him speak. Everyone's heard him have conversations. Everyone's heard him from the past. And the thing is, we hear things from the past, and we hear players make these allegations about him back in the day before cancel culture was really a thing and before people were really held accountable for their words and their actions. And you still hired him. So if I know about those stories, you tell me the owner doesn't. It's just a bad look. Josh Jacobs getting a DUI to start off the season was horrible. Henry Ruggs most likely going to prison for a very long time for a very tragic accident is horrible. So now you still don't have a wide receiver of the future. Derek Carr is just another year older. So that's not good. You know what I mean? And in your offensive line and Alex Leatherwood, that your first round pick, horrible. John Gruden gets fired is horrible. You have a bunch of guys who Darren Waller gets hurt. So it's like this season was horrible. Like there's no way around that. Now I will say this, that they have fight. Like they want to win. These guys in this room want to win for each other, and that's perfectly fine. But that doesn't mean they all want to stay there now. I think a lot of them are going to leave. And I think this is something you just kind of have to blow up, because you can't really have a single one of those guys who instill that culture, maybe outside of Derek Carr. I think, when you have a QB1 who's able to handle himself the way he has, you understand that Derek Carr knows, throughout whether it was John Gruden or whether it was Henry Ruggs, he's a very good speaker. He could talk his way out of a lot of bullshit questions that the media throws his way. But I think he's genuine. I think he truly is a good guy at the end of the day. But it's bad, man. That's bad. There is no saving that season. I don't care if they're winning or not, or if they're in the playoff picture or not. Like it's a tragic. I feel horrible. Like I feel horrible even talking about it, because it's like that's just. I thought it was rough for me, but that's bad, coach. That's all I can say is that's horrible.
Yeah, which the Gruden thing, that's his boy. They was best friends. They was cool,
Right.
and they in that fraternity, so they know a lot of stuff. And
they know stuff we have no idea about.
Yeah, and you hear rumors about stuff in the NFL, but as long as you in that fraternity, as long as you in that circle, you good. They find a way to scratch it off. Moving on, you have the Steelers. Steelers playing the Browns and the Ravens. This is the last hoorah for old Big Ben. This last home game.
Should have been the last one 2 seasons ago.
No, this is it. But right now they're 7-1. They're number 11. Yeah. I like to say for the Steelers, man, I hope for the best. Big Ben, you did your thing for Pittsburgh for 17, 18 years. Hey, you did your thing. Now it's time to move on. It's as simple as that. At 13, we're gonna go to 13 because we're gonna talk about the Broncos. I know that's your ex DC.
My guy, yeah, still is there.
Yeah. So talking about him, do you really think they should fire him? Or should they give him another year?
I think you give him another year. And I'll go off and I'll say this. First, he's not a bad head coach. He's a good head coach. I think he does his job very well. He instills a great mentality. The thing is, Bill Belichick does an amazing thing. And he hires one of the best guys that he believes could be an offensive coordinator. And he brings him in. He doesn't bring in some guy that's a no-name. Now, right now, anybody watching this, including myself, I can't tell you who the offensive coordinator is of the Denver Broncos. I don't know if Coach can. I can't. It's just I don't know. And that says a lot. Like, I know Eric Bieniemy. I know Brian DeBall. I know a bunch of guys who are instilled in a lot of offensives. And that's the biggest thing is if you want a defensive-minded head coach, you have to give him one of the best available offensive coordinators. And that's truly how it is. Because Vic Fangio is the type of guy to leave you alone. Vic Fangio will let Matt Nagy do whatever bullshit he wants to do, and he'll just focus on his defense. And that's perfectly fine. But when you're forcing his hand into having to have something to do with this offense, that's where you're having a problem. And you need to understand exactly. And you look at it, though, from other perspectives with Kyle Shanahan and Pete Carroll and other individuals, you can't name their offensive coordinators. because it's them. But I promise you, we all knew who Robert Saleh was on the 49ers. We all knew what he was doing. We all knew what the defensive coordinators were doing, because they do their job. Now, when you have an offensive coordinator who you can't really name, off of, resume or off of what he's done, you're going to have a problem. And especially when your quarterback situation is so scarce because Teddy Bridgewater is getting a little banged up. Drew Lock still isn't shit, like, respectfully. Like, he's just not. He's there. He's just like Mitchell Trubisky. He's there, but he's not going to do anything. You know what I mean? Like, he's not your franchise guy as much as they want him to be. But that's the biggest problem to me right now is, you don't have a quarterback who's willing to change the play. You don't. Because Teddy's going to do whatever you tell him to do. And if it doesn't work, he's just going to check it down. That's your boy, check down Teddy. But it's a situation to where you're not game planning and the quarterbacks aren't changing the game plan because Drew can't and Teddy just rides with whatever. So to me, I think he definitely does deserve one more year. If I were the Broncos front office, I think you throw Eric Bieniemy all the money in the world to come. And the thing with that is you go into next year, you have Eric Bieniemy, you have Vic Fangio, and if Vic still is underperforming and this defense doesn't look good, because I'll give him that. Von Miller gets traded. It's kind of inevitable. It is what it is. Kyle Fuller didn't perform well. Bryce Callahan didn't perform well. That's perfectly fine. But going in the next year, if you're still not good, that's Eric Bieniemy's job then. And that's your kind of safety net to it. It's okay, well, we brought in not only a good offensive coordinator, but one that's actually valid enough to become a head coach. So I would ride one more year with Vic Fangio, but I would bring in his replacement very soon.
No, I don't think he's a good coach. Here's why I don't think he's a good coach. Because
do you mean that from like a strategic standpoint, or just like as a head coach, like what your job is to talk to these men?
I'm talking about as an overall head coach.
Right.
Not defense. He's good. He does his thing on defense.
Right.
I give him credit for that. And we're going to talk about that probably because we're short on time. We're not going to talk about it today. We're going to talk about it another time. Yeah. But probably next week. I don't think he's – a lot of defensive-minded coaches where they say, hey, don't turn the ball over, run the ball, boom. Let's play defense.
Right.
And I think that's one of the things that he probably does. He can't tell you what they do on offense. He can't tell you half the players what they're good at. He just let Pat Shurmur do his thing. And I just truly, truly believe that you can't nowadays offensively think like that. And I think now you see a lot more teams going more towards the offensive side of coaches. And I think even with Eric Bieniemy, honestly, truthfully, I don't think Eric Bieniemy is going to get a head coaching job because
it's going to be tough. I think it's tougher than
and the reason why is because of Matt Nagy.
Right.
Matt Nagy was under that Kansas City umbrella, so I really don't think he's going to get a head coaching job. Honestly, truthfully, I think he needs to. He's not going to leave, but I think he's promised to be the head coach after Andy Reid leaves.
Right.
He needs to move around and just be a OC and say, "Hey, I did it without him."
I would say though, it's to Eric Bieniemy's point with Matt Nagy. I felt like a big part of it was just you saying, "Oh, well, I was under Andy Reid. But he didn't do anything." You know what I mean? Like that was the Bears taking a shot. Now, Eric, okay, well, your first real year with Patrick Mahomes, he throws over 50 touchdowns. He wins the MVP. Then you go to 2 Super Bowls. Like he actually has a resume.
Yeah, he has a resume, but what happened?
Right.
What did everybody say about Matt Nagy? Because you say it all the time.
Right. But it's a little bit.
What they say?
He's an offensive guru because of Andy Reid.
And look what Matt Nagy's done.
But I think Eric actually is.
I'm just telling you, everybody's gonna look at what happened beforehand.
Right, I hear you, and I think it's very hard. But that's the thing. That's what I hate about it is I think he deserves a shot. But and you look, how come he ain't? I don't even think was he ever been a finalist in one of the jobs over the past 2 years? He's always been invited, but he's never been a finalist.
Like yeah. I don't know if he can't speak, he can't interview, or what. Randy, shut up. I'm about to stop putting your stuff up there. Don't.
But nah, I do agree with you though. I do think it has to probably have something to do with you need to be the voice of men, of 53 men, and other coaches there. So, is he just an offensive guru, but not really a vocal person? Not vocal, but I've heard nothing but good things from him.
But
The players love him, and the players can stand by him. I've heard nothing but positive things about him. So I think it's more of an overall understanding of what he would want to do to run a team that maybe he's not ready for.
But I think he can do that part because that's not hard. Because if you really think about it,
the offensive coordinating part, yeah, I think he's fine.
But even the head coach, it's easier for a head coach for an offensive guy than it is for a defensive guy.
Right.
Because
no doubt.
What's you're only second guessing what? Punt, fake, field goal. So that's more of an offensive plays anyway, right, compared to a defensive guy. And then you look at defense, you got to worry about the offense. So that means you have to make decisions. So now, defensively, you're thinking about more what? I'm thinking about more of my offense.
Right.
But this is an offensive-driven league. Like, it's 40, 50 points. Let's try to throw 28 points, 35 points. So I truly think that I don't think he's good on that part of making those decisions. But moving on, because we're short on time, we're going to go to the NFC. At 6, you got 49ers. Garoppolo is a game-time decision with the injury. They play the Texans and the Rams. What do you think?
I think you play Trey. Why not? I mean, you're playing the Texans, so it is what it is at the end of the day. Like, they've been playing decent ball, but I think it's time to see what Trey Lance can do. Justin Fields is out there. Zach Wilson is out there. Trevor Lawrence is out there fighting for his life. Mac Jones is out there, and he's in the playoff picture. It's time to see why you were the number 3 overall pick. And you have been being groomed for 16 weeks. It's time that you have Debo, you have Kittle, you have all these other guys out there, Elijah Mitchell, and so on and so forth. You have Kyle Shanahan calling plays. You should be able to go out there and win a game. That's all they're asking you. They're not asking you to win the world. They're asking you to beat one of the top 5 worst teams in the NFL. And they're asking you to do it not by a large margin, just by the scab of your teeth. So I think this is a moment where you need to see what Trey Lance is and how he performs in the NFL and what decisions he makes. And I think even though it's just a small sample size, this game will speak volumes to how ready he'll truly be going in the next year. Because if you can't, figure out the Texans offense or the Texans defense, pardon me, I think you're in some trouble because I don't even think the Texans defense understands the Texans defense. But they're just kind of riding and clicking at the right moments. But I think if you want to make the playoffs, you don't play Jimmy Garoppolo. And it's a different situation than the Ravens is because you have an established run game with the 49ers. You have a bunch of guys that can step up like Trey Lance, who is not like Huntley, just a backup or trying to be serviceable. Like Trey Lance is the future of your team. So give him that opportunity, or should be the future of your team. I can't speak on what he's going to be or what he's not. But this is a moment where Trey Lance needs to, this is why we picked you. This is why we picked you instead of trading that pick for Aaron Rodgers. Like that is something that was in the conversation and they weren't willing to do. But it's going to be something at the end of the day. I think it comes down to Trey and how ready is he and how trusting is Kyle Shanahan and he. And I would trust him. I would trust him all the way because you need to go in this next year knowing Jimmy's not going to be there. So you need to see what you have. And you need to start building connections fast because you don't want to be building connections come training camp.
I agree with you. I think he should get the start just because what's his name hurt his thumb. And I mean they kind of know what Trey can and can't do. Like I said, I think he practiced with him. And then you gotta understand Jimmy was out for COVID. And there was a lot of times, like even this week, Trey got a lot of burn with the starters. So I think he should start. I think he should, just play, get that game reps. Because even now, I don't know. I think Jimmy has one more year on his contract.
Yeah, I believe so. I actually don't know. I think he's a free agent, if I'm not mistaken.
I'll go back. I have to look it up and see.
Yeah, but I think there's a club option on it, but I don't think they'll take it, but it's definitely it's very close. I know it's very close. It's either going in the next year or it's definitely is it. But I think he's good.
No, he has one more year.
Really?
So he has one more year. So and then you can kind of look in and see, and just go in the off season because then now you can trade him. You could trade Jimmy. You could trade Jimmy to the Carolina. You could trade Jimmy. You could say what everybody think Aaron Rodgers leaving the Packers. You could trade him to whoever.
Right.
I know everybody he can go to Cleveland. Like there's a lot of openings. I know he didn't like when I said that, but that's a whole nother. I'm just saying there's a lot of options for Jimmy because you make moves.
Right.
So, but I think they're gonna make the playoffs depending on the seeding and who they play. I think they might have a chance to make it to the second round because they're talented on offense, defense.
They are very good. IU, Debo, all those guys.
They're very creative with the way they use them. You see Debo at receiver, you see him at slot, you see him at tight end, then you see him at running back.
Right. The problem is that's why to me, not to cut you off, but that's why you don't play Jimmy, is because going into the playoffs, if Jimmy's hurt, then you have to play with Trey. And right now, Kyle Shanahan, in my eyes, can do just enough to win this game. But if you have to go into the playoffs with Trey, that changes the entire identity of that offense because he's not throwing the deep ball like that. He's not throwing the Ayuk. He's not throwing the Kittle up the middle. He's going to get eaten up by those linebackers. So that's the biggest thing. And the safeties are going to come down on him too. And then they're going to rain hell because this kid does overthrow the ball. The biggest thing to me is going into the playoffs with an identity. And if you don't make it, it is what it is. You know, you did have a tough go. You have the Rams. You have what's it called? Why am I flaking on their name right now? The Cardinals. Haven't said their name in so long with the playoffs coach. It's just tough. But yeah, and you even had to play Russell Wilson a couple times, and that's perfectly fine. Bobby Wagner, Jamal Adams, and a couple others. Like it gets real fast in the West. But it's a situation to where if you don't have Jimmy going into the playoffs, you truly don't have an identity that works. Like you understand with Jimmy Garoppolo, you can make it to the Super Bowl. You know you can because you've done it before. Now with Trey, you have a rookie quarterback who's still trying to figure himself out, and you have a head coach who's trying to figure out the quarterback and an offense that hasn't clicked with him whatsoever because he hasn't gotten any opportunities. Now, if Justin Fields were to make the playoffs with the Bears, there's the question of, well, we kind of understand we're going to run the ball with Monty, and that's the identity. And then Justin's going to do Justin. Trevor Lawrence, you understand we're going to let Trevor be Trevor. With Zach Wilson, we're not even going to talk about Zach Wilson. But, even Mac Jones, like you said earlier, Patriots are going to run the football. That's what they've been doing. That's what they've been predicating themselves all season long. There was even a game where, pride, but Mac Jones only threw the ball 3 to 4 times. And that's just the reality of it.
He's a manager.
Right. But with Trey Lance, you don't want to have those amount of weapons and not use them because you're scarce on running backs to begin with. You can't really do that because Elijah Mitchell is day-to-day every day. Samuel is day-to-day every day. All these other guys are banged up. You can't afford for Trey Lance to be having his first-year rookie mistakes come January because it's going to be bad. So I think you have to ride with Trey because if Jimmy goes down, that's your season.
Yeah. Yep. I agree with you. For the 7th spot, you got the Eagles. They play Washington and they play Cowboys next week. So what do you think?
I think the Eagles shock the world. I do. I think they take one of those spots. I think the Eagles win out. I really do. I don't know why, but I do.
They run the football.
They
run it.
Run the ball with who? I run the ball with Jalen.
I mean, you can say that, but
I don't really like Miles like that.
They lead the league in rushing.
Yeah, but I mean that's all you really do. But it's a conversation though where it's very weird. Like I don't like a single running back in there. I like Jordan Howard, but he's a bear. But I don't like really a single running back in that room come playoffs. But I do think they've predicated themselves on that and they understand they are a run first team. And I think that's perfectly fine. But I think they'll make it. I really do. I think they win out. I think they could even beat the Cowboys. I don't know why, but I'll stand by it.
Okay. I like them. I think Eagles, they're gonna do what they do best. They're gonna run the football. If you stop their run, they're in trouble because Jalen Hurts. You don't know what he's gonna do. You don't know where he's gonna throw the ball. Then at 8, we got the Vikings against the Packers. Honestly, with no Kirk Cousins, I don't think they have a chance in hell to beat the Packers. So I think they're not going to make the playoffs.
You think Keelan Mond's gonna play?
He has to.
But he's next man up, right?
Yeah, Kirk Cousins because he didn't get vaccinated, so he automatically out for this week.
For me though, this is a game I've been waiting for all year. I'm really curious to see how Keelan Mond plays because I don't know, that could kind of either be the next Ian Book to being god awful and far from ready, or there could be a legitimate conversation of should we bring Kirk Cousins back, because Kirk Cousins costs a lot of money. Let's not be fooled. Like, he costs a lot of money to just stat pad you, and everyone wants to talk about Russell Wilson being the stat padder of the league and the stat padder of sports. Kirk Cousins is the stat padder of sports because he will not make the playoffs once, but he'll stat pad for you. He'll give you 4,000 yards. He'll give you 30 touchdowns. Pardon me. But yeah, he's a stat padder. He's not good. He's not a general manager. He doesn't do anything well, in my opinion. He just kind of stat pads and late in games at that. So I'm really curious to see how good Keelan Mond is, especially against a rival like Green Bay. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
That would be fun. It's interesting.
I think if that kid balls out, there's a conversation.
And then, but you also got to realize, I think the Vikings, they got to win out. It's a must win out. If not, I think the head coach is gone. So we have
Zimmer should be gone regardless, I think.
See, if they make the playoffs,
Coach, I think someone walked in your house.
Yeah,
I'm just saying. I heard. I'm just saying. Might have to go check that out.
Nah, I know who it is. Here we go. Falcons.
Word.
Falcons. We never thought we would say this, but they're 9. They play the Bills and they play the Saints. I don't think they have a chance, but to be honest with you, a very, very surprising year. Your number one receiver has been I'm not gonna say AWOL. He's been taking care of his business. I don't want, because like I said, I don't know how deep it is.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't be known.
So they actually 7 and 8. They figured out a way with Patterson at running back and receiver. They're doing a lot of great things with him. That rookie tight end doing his thing. And that should be a question. Do you think he should be nominated for Rookie of the Year?
For Kyle?
Yeah.
Kyle doesn't have the stats to win Rookie of the Year, but he's definitely been effective.
He has the best tight end stats ever.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing his thing. He's doing right as a rookie. He's doing his thing. But when you really look at like other rookies that are out there right now, I think a good one for me is Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle's effectiveness the last 7 weeks has really helped a lot. You also look at a bunch of other guys. I think the conversation is very light this year. There's not a clear, definite winner. And I don't think a single one of them is a quarterback. I don't think you could say a single one of them is a quarterback. I wouldn't even give it to Mac Jones. Mac Jones doesn't have the numbers to win the Offensive Rookie of the Year. Like, I just don't think that. But I think I'm looking at his stats right now, when you look at Kyle Pitts at overall, I mean, he's been solid. You know what I mean? Like, the problem is he has 1 touchdown on the year. That's the problem with Kyle Pitts. Like, it's like, where are you in the red zone? What are you doing? I hear you have over 900 yards, and that's perfectly fine. But you had 1 touchdown on the year, and Calvin Ridley's not there. So where are these touchdowns coming from, and what's going on with it? And that's the biggest problem to me, is why I think he's, like you said, he's definitely putting up the numbers from a passing perspective. But again, he's not a quarterback. So, it's cool that you're receiving these yards, but you're not actually putting up points for your team. And that's where the problem kind of lies. I don't know. I think Jalen Waddle is one of those guys I would say, to me, is one of the Offensive Rookie of the Years.
Okay. I mean, can't go wrong with either one of them. Yeah. All right. that's pretty much it, man. I think the other, like you said, you got the Saints at 10, but they got to beat the Panthers and the Falcons. Then you got the football team; they're at 6-9, so they need pretty much need a miracle to make it. So here we go. So starting back over, it's your favorite time of the segments, picks. And we know you have been god awful with your picks, but that's okay though.
I started strong.
You started, yeah. You kind of remind me of, man, what's that team? I ain't gonna say Arizona because you didn't start out that strong. Houston Texans when they beat the Jaguars, and they went what? They was like 2-0, 3-1.
Yeah, I had a few good weeks where you were looking back, and I was right there.
Yeah, I was looking back. I did. I looked like this, and we almost could touch. Like, hey, good job.
Right.
But, you is what you is.
Out of nowhere, man. Out of nowhere. But hey, I'm still in second place though.
Yeah, because there's nobody else.
That's fine. That's fine.
Hey,
I'll tell my kids though. All they know is I came in second. They don't know how many people were in the race.
Yeah. All right, here we go. First game: Atlanta versus Buffalo.
And coach, don't make me. I'm gonna say Buffalo because I love Josh Allen. But I think Atlanta could surprise a lot of people.
I'm gonna say Buffalo. Atlanta going to Buffalo. Ain't no telling what the weather is because if the weather is like it is,
they're in Buffalo.
Yeah.
I don't say Buffalo.
If the weather's like it is down here, it went from 80 degrees to 30 degrees in 6 hours. Automatically, I'm gonna say Buffalo. You got New York Giants at the Chicago Bears.
Give me the Bears. We're chilling. Give me the Bears.
Who's that quarterback this week?
Oh man, it's Andy Dalton, and I don't know why. Like, coach, that's what I'm telling you. Nick Foles just won you a game.
What's wrong with Nick?
Now, you just went what? 1-9, 2-9. Pardon me. You went 2-9 with Andy Dalton and Justin Fields. Nick Foles comes in, wins you a game on Christmas.
Go ahead.
And now you're going with Andy again? Like, it's just I'm over it. I want it gone.
I'm gonna go with Chicago.
I'll go with the Bears, but
this is, to me, I honestly think this is the game of the week. Kansas City versus Cincy. I think this is a must-win for Cincy to put themselves in that category. Like, hey, we belong, and it gets a morale boost for them for the playoffs.
I'm gonna give it to Cincy. Because as of right now, here's my problem. I'm in the championship for fantasy football this week, and I have Travis Kelce. I don't know if he's playing still. Right now, I just checked. I've been doing it the entire episode, seeing if he's playing. No one said a word. No one said a word if he's playing. Now, he's cleared protocols, but no one said he's shooting up. No one said he's been at practice. It's just it's an unknown. There's no one saying nothing. So I have no idea if Travis Kelce is even going to be available. And I think, the way T. Higgins emerged, the way that tight end for them emerged, Boyd, and not to leave the man, the myth, the legend himself going last, but Jamar Chase, and then you have Joe Mixon. There's no shot in my mind that these guys can outrun this team. I think they have a shot. That's just me. But yeah, you looking for Travis Kelce, right? I can't find nothing.
Who?
I said Travis.
Oh, he's playing.
Who's that?
Yeah, they got him playing.
Where?
Oh my gosh. Okay, let me see. You want me to give you like the full rundown?
Uh-huh.
Kelce,
I ain't heard that. Coach.
He wasn't listed on Wednesday injury report as being removed from the reserves COVID. He was at full practice at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
He's on track to handle a normal workload after missing the Week 16. Teammates played only 42% of snaps. He's talking about Tyreek Hill. Has more time to rest and regain his strength for the upcoming matchup.
I guess.
So he's playing. They were just trying to see what's his workload going to be. But anyway, I got Kansas City. I don't care. Here's the thing about it.
You a hater. You a hater. No, I'm
not a hater. I can't. Hold on. I can't ride. You can't ride with Kansas City from the beginning of the season to when everybody was talking about how sorry they was, and then this is that, and then now just jump off the bandwagon. Hell no. I'm in that thing. East Texas. Let's go. Let's go. Come on, baby. So I'm gonna ride with him, man. I think he's Kelsey playing or not playing. I still think offensively that'd be just fine. You still got Pat Mahomes back there throwing that thing around, and you could even say like last week, man. Guys stepped up last week because Kelsey didn't play, and Tyreek only played like 30-40% of snaps anyway. So
it was a really good game for them.
Yeah, so I'm gonna ride with him, man. I like Cincy. I like Burrow. One thing about Burrow, guess what? He can't move. Chris gonna have a good game up the middle. He can't. He's not mobile. He sits in that pocket.
I think he could get around. I just that boy. Someone needs to teach that boy how to slide. Someone needs to teach that boy how to slide.
So I'm gonna ride with
for your ACL, sir. I need you to learn how to slide very fast.
Yeah, Miami versus at Tennessee.
Coach, you lifted my heart. You lifted my heart, and I heard your little pep talk. And I liked it. I'm gonna say they went out. I'm gonna change my narrative. I'm gonna say Miami. I also hate Ryan Tannehill, so I'm gonna say Miami.
Yeah, I liked it Miami, and honestly, I said it from the beginning. I always thought they were at least the number 2 best team in AFC East. I always thought Bills overall, like talent wise, I always had them as the number 1. Like even you take the Patriots, like I figured the Patriots would be around 500, the 8-8 ballpark. I had them losing the earlier games, but COVID and injuries helped them win that.
Oh, don't do that.
No, it's the truth though. It's the truth. You're in the bottom half of stopping the run. Listen, we all know one thing you got to do on defense. You have to what?
Coach.
You got to what?
Coach.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop because I get on these rants.
And carry on.
So here we go. Vegas versus Colts.
I think this is the game of the week, and our boy Randy wanted us to talk about this. Carson Wentz goes down with COVID. He's in COVID protocols, and now he's been activated. So, however that works, it works.
Because under the new rules, and he's not vaccinated, he hit his 2 positives, but he still got to take another test by the doctors. It's something else. It's deep.
So I believe you do the team tests, and then you have to go actually do a PCR. And what we're noticing a lot in Chicago and around the world right now is false rapids everywhere, whether it be positive, negative, whatever it is. The tests aren't working, but the actual legitimate tests are pretty legit, and they still are holding true. So I guess he is cleared. But I think this is the game of the week because it means so much for both teams because the Colts are still trying to find their way in. And the Raiders are still trying to find their way in. So I think this is the game of the week. I'm going to give it to the Colts. I think they have an identity. I think they still have a head coach. Last time I checked. And now you have Carson Wentz back, so that's even better because without him, I didn't know who was going to be their backup. I really didn't because I know it's probably going to be that rookie they have because I know Brissett's gone, but I definitely didn't trust Ellinger like that. But yeah, I think the Colts will win it.
All right, if Ellinger was back there, they would have you would have seen them in the wing tee. They out there running triple option. They got all them 3 running backs back there.
You ain't.
That's what he does.
Marlon Mack would have been activated for the first time in 16 weeks.
Hey, he would have been. I'm telling you, he would have been at fullback. JT would have been at running back. Then I can't even think of the backup running back. He would have been going in motion. They would have been out there doing all kinds of crap. But nah, man, I'm gonna ride with the Colts. I like the Colts. Like I said, I think that'd be great if it's all falls on the head coach if he just runs the ball.
Yeah.
And he runs the ball. You keep Carson Wentz 30 and below passing, you'll be fine. Next game, you got Jacksonville versus New England. Of course, I got New England. They're gonna run. They're gonna run. They're gonna pound it. They're gonna pound it. Jaguars, just a whole total mess down there. Get rid of everybody. But that is, I'm not gonna lie. We'll probably talk about this coming up later on in the year. It's not a bad spot if you're a head coach because you're gonna have a lot of stuff on your side. You got a young
No,
quarterback and you got that money.
it's a situation to me, and it sounds so wrong, but with Eric Bieniemy, no one's giving you an opportunity to be the head coach. They're giving you an invitation, but no one's giving you an opportunity. After the Urban Myers thing, I think it's definitely a situation to where we're seeing a lot more black head coaches. We're seeing a lot more opportunities be given to them, and rightfully so. So I think if Jacksonville wants to scavenge anything, you give that man an opportunity because he deserves one, first of all. I definitely think you take a chance on Eric the same way he's taking a chance on you because Eric don't want to go to no Jacksonville of all places, but he has to start somewhere. So I think Jacksonville would be a good experiment for him.
It's not a bad spot because if you really think about it, you have like 60. I think they had like $67 million.
Mm-hmm. They have a lot of things they could do.
So what you could
Drake drafting places too. It's
yeah.
good.
So
you got your quarterback already too. So
you can really get you a brand new receiving core.
Mm-hmm. I mean, realistically, I said it from the jump. I said I could definitely see Matt Nagy going to Jacksonville and Allen Robinson going with him because Allen Robinson already played in Jacksonville before. The only reason he didn't stay is because they didn't have the money. They wanted to pay Jalen Ramsey. Then Jalen Ramsey wanted out, whole thing. But Allen wanted to stay in Jacksonville. So I think you might see AR-15 pull up with Matt Nagy. Maybe you see what happens over there down in Jacksonville with Trevor Lawrence. I don't know. I think
the only thing Nagy's going back to, he can be an OC because there's going to be a lot of head coach job. But I think even if you take Allen, and I'll place a bid for even Godwin.
I would take a chance. You have to take a chance on
even though he's gonna miss half the year,
right?
But then at least you could get him for the cheap.
And it's not even that though. It's the fact that who cares if he misses half the year? You're not in a place to win right now anyway, so it doesn't really even matter.
But you can be real fast.
Now going into year 2, you have even more draft picks. You even have even more money. You still have Godwin. Trevor Lawrence is what, going to be in year 3 by then? I mean, that's a conversation. That's a conversation if they could be legit.
So yeah, I mean, I think the Jaguars. Honestly, I think Urban Meyer made it worse than what it is. Because one thing about the ownership,
he was respectfully, I hate swearing on here, but he was bitching.
So I don't know what he was thinking, but the owner wants to win and he's willing to do things. I think it's gonna go to Brian Leftwich, but because he's more compared to Brian Leftwich called plays. Like he called it. Anyway, moving on since we talking about Brian Leftwich. Tampa Bay versus the Jets. Again, I'm gonna go with Tampa. There's nothing. And guess what? Everybody's out. And we're not tripping. You know why we're not tripping? Because we got him out for the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, I think Mike Evans, he practiced this week. He's the game time decision. And they might just rest him just because it's a hammy. Yeah. And then you got Barrett's out.
Gronk is in, I think, right?
Yeah, Gronk is in. Paul, he's out. He's out because he's just old. So they said
I would check out OJ Howard today. I think OJ Howard might have a day.
So I truly believe that. So they're fine offensively. They just go more of a 2-2 tight end sets. AB, he's nagging. He had a nagging injury, but he'd be fine.
Oh yeah, I bet. Oh, I bet. But it was really nagging.
He's trying to get that money.
Because
he's trying to hit these incentives.
Yeah.
Here we go. We got Philly versus the Washington. I can't call them a football team because what I saw last Sunday was Christmas Day. Oh, that was not a football team. Philly versus Washington.
Give me Philly. I told them they went out. Don't do this.
I don't know. My heart says Philly.
Is what's bothering you is that you think they have to bounce back, Washington?
It's both.
See, because here's my thinking of the coach. Hear me out. When Chicago has a bad week, you think, oh, they gotta bounce back. That was bad. But guess what? They don't. Like, but the bad teams don't bounce back. And I think it's just getting worse for them down there in Washington.
It's not that it's a bad. It wasn't. It's a bad week. It
It was
was
a bad week.
no. It was an embarrassment.
It was
It's more so. Like I can't think of the dude. Dude did a TikTok video and he was showing like dudes just walking during the game and just jogging. Like that's the thing. That's the thing about it. It's not that it's a bad week. It was
a bad look.
It was just an embarrassment for everybody. Like the entire defense. That was terrible. Y'all was just there. Offensively, oh, what offense? Like I think that's the thing. And then when you turn around and you flip it, you look at the Eagles, it's run. Okay, Jalen, throw it up.
Do you think we see it a lot. Me and you always talk about it, like getting in your own head after having a great first year. And you typically see that with offenses or head coaches or coordinators. They kind of start to feel like they're the shit necessarily, in lack of other words. But I kind of felt that way with Washington's defense. They went into this year just thinking that they were going to tear stuff up and they were going to duplicate it into going into year two. And they weren't trying as hard. They didn't look as aggressive and they didn't look as hungry. And I think that a big part of that was just so much praise they were getting at being a top defense last year when they're all so young. And now they're starting to get figured out. They're starting to get bounced up. And they're just folding because of it. And I think that's a big thing. We don't typically see defenses do that. But I think it's happened.
I think just, and this is just in general, like sports period.
Yeah.
I think people win this microwave era.
Right.
Like if you look at it, everybody destroyed Kansas City. Oh my gosh, they're terrible.
Oh man, hey, Nate, pull up the clip of Stephen A. Smith really quick. They'll never win another championship again.
So like you hear everybody destroys them because everybody is the president of the moment.
Right.
Just like 3 or 4 weeks ago, it was New England versus the Buccaneers. Then when the Buccaneers lost to the Saints, oh my gosh, Green Bay is the team. I think we're just so much in the moment, and everybody think the last moment of that Washington team was, oh my God, that defense this, the defense that, and then the same thing for Cleveland. For me, it's more you do it once, okay, that's nice. I got to see it on a consistent basis, but see who you are. Like once it gets to that point where you see teams that they are who they are on a regular basis, and then you be like, okay, yeah. Because perfect example, like you said, Lamar. We praised Lamar in the regular season.
Right.
But when that first game of the playoffs, it's like, oh, come on, Lamar.
Right.
Like, I think that's until he does it in the playoffs, that's when we can tell. And I think that's one thing about a lot of people, just sports in general. We get excited at the wrong moments. And then when it really, really counts, and that's what happens.
Right.
I mean, you can look at not just football, you can look at basketball, you can see teams. You can look at teams in baseball. It's who's hitting all cylinders, who's rolling, and who people you can trust. Because one thing about it, you take last year, nobody really had the Buccaneers winning. Like I said earlier, you had to go to New Orleans, you had to go to Green Bay, you had to go to Washington.
Right. I think after it wasn't even that too. It was after the Bears beat them. You started to really just hear it was Green Bay.
And what are you hearing right now?
Green Bay.
And I think, and that's the thing. That's where people sometimes we're just the president of the moment, and we're like, oh my God, oh look at this and that. So I thought the defense. I'm not gonna lie. I thought the defense would play better than what they were doing.
Right.
Also knew offensively, if you stop that run, they didn't have a quarterback to really just throw the thing around and make plays.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the same thing. A lot of people, even Cleveland Brown, beginning of the season, when Cleveland lost to Kansas City, right then and there, I was like, I said it at the very beginning. I was like, Cleveland, this is your chance to say that you belong.
Right.
And when they lost, I was like, they don't belong. They're never gonna. It's not gonna be their year because this was the best chance. So here we go. We got Rams versus Baltimore. They're playing at Baltimore.
I'm gonna say the Rams.
Yes, I'm gonna go with the Rams. Sean McVay, please keep Matthew Stafford throws under 35. 35 attempts, no more than 35. That's all he
They
gets.
said Cam Akers was questionable, but I don't think he's playing.
He's played 5 snaps, 10 snaps, just to get kind of in football shape. But please, and because he hasn't probably done anything. Because like I said, I don't know what, especially now since COVID's been crazy. I don't know how much practice time has everybody really actually had, especially in this time of the year. So just give him about. I said it earlier. He probably do like 10, maybe 15 snaps.
Yeah,
just to get him in. Get
15. I don't know, 15.
But when you say 15, as pass block,
he'll be out there. He'll be out there.
He'll be out there. He's not always. He can pass block, sit there, or he might stop right there and get screen or something. Nothing serious. Nothing. Just get him moving. But yeah, I'm sorry, Baltimore. I think this is the end. Denver at the Chargers. I have Denver winning this game just for the simple fact I don't believe in the Chargers. I think they're a soft team, and I think Denver's going to try to run the ball because that's what the head coach wants to do.
Give me the Chargers. We're not doing that.
How you can't sit there and say now you look, if the Broncos lose, that'll put them at 7-9. They might not give them another year if they lose.
I mean, at the end of the day, though, you still haven't given my man a quarterback. Come on now.
What do you mean?
What you mean? What I mean?
They tried to
listen. Let me tell you something. You don't have an offensive coordinator, and you don't have your franchise quarterback. Teddy Bridgewater.
What quarterback was open?
Man, you could have traded for Aaron Rodgers.
They tried.
Hey, you could have drafted Justin Fields or Mac Jones. Let me tell you something, Coach. You took All-Pro Kyle Fuller. Then you already had a Pro Bowler in Bryce Callahan, both of your corners. You got Simmons as your free safety. You're telling me, not your free safety, I know he plays safety, but you're telling me you took Patrick Surtain, another freaking DB, instead of taking Justin Fields or Mac Jones.
Yeah.
Fired. Whoever that was should be fired.
That's probably what the head coach wanted. Because he said what?
Of course he did. But
no. Listen.
Office needs to control that.
So what do you think Matt Jones, and this is the honest truth, you think Matt Jones will be winning like he is in New England if he was at the Denver?
I think so.
No.
You look at Jerry Jeudy, you look at Sutton, you look at Patrick.
Matt Jones is the same thing he was at Alabama.
You understand, though, that they have a better receiving core than they do in New England.
I do understand that.
Yeah, he'd be fine.
No, he wouldn't. I don't think so. I think he's a game manager. He managed the game. I don't.
Great. You can take Justin Fields. You can take whoever you want.
And Justin Fields, how many games has he played? How many games has he been out since he started?
He's living his life.
How many games? I understand what they're doing because it's a defensive-minded coach. So therefore, the defense, what do you want to do? Play defense.
Right, but that's my thing, Coach. Is okay. So you already have DBs locked down. Your secondary is straight. Now Von Miller's probably out the door. So why didn't you get Von Miller's replacement? If anything, if you're going to take someone on defense, why would you take Patrick Surtain? It just doesn't make sense to me. I like Patrick. But when you already have a deep secondary, I know Kyle Fuller hasn't lived up to the hype this year.
But when you look at it trying to make the playoffs, there's 4 games possible. You could say 5. You could say 6 games. 6 games every year that you're playing against quarterbacks. You say the Chargers. You say the Kansas City Chiefs. You can say the Raiders. Those are 6 games you know for sure their quarterback at least throw for 300 plus on you.
Yeah, I don't know. I just
and you're a defensive minded guy. That's what happens. We'll talk about that another time. But
this is the only to leave it at that. This is the only head coach going into year 3 who still doesn't have his franchise quarterback. Only one.
well,
How are you going into year 4 and you don't have a franchise quarterback?
well, you can say a lot of teams like that.
Who?
You say Pittsburgh. You can say Kansas City.
Big Ben was their franchise quarterback.
Not Kansas City. You can say you can say Cleveland. You can say the Jets.
No. You just got Zach Wilson, and y'all believe in Baker enough to trade OBJ. So you got the guy you want.
But we'll see. Moving on. Houston and 49ers.
Move the hell on, because you know my boy, Free Vic. But I'll take the 49ers. I think regardless, the Texans just aren't built like that. I don't believe in Mills. I like their defense. I just don't believe in Mills. I like Brandon Cooks. But again, I'll say it again. Coach, say it with me. I don't believe in Mills. And that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the 49ers. I think they're in must-win mode. I think Houston is probably going to get to that point to where they look and see where they at and just say, you know what, hey, let's kind of trick these games off a little bit. Let's get this draft pick. Another nice game this week. Arizona versus the Dallas Cowboys. This is the house that Kyler Murray built. I think he's 7 or 8-0 playing at that stadium.
I'm going to say Dallas.
Oh yeah, I'm saying Dallas. I think Dallas is feeling good right now. I said it from the beginning. I didn't trust Arizona. I knew to get to this time of the year, you can't run the run and shoot offense without a run game. And oh boy, he don't like running the football. So I'm gonna ride with Dallas, man. Dallas looks good. Dallas is doing a thing. So there you go. Even though I'm gonna watch the game. Carolina at New Orleans. Ugh. I got New Orleans. The only reason I have New Orleans because Carolina, they don't know who's their quarterback. They don't know who you fired your OC because you want to run the ball 35 times. And you've been trying to run the ball 35 times a game. And y'all been getting smacked. So I'm gonna go with New Orleans.
Yeah, I'll go with New Orleans. I just don't trust them. It's unfortunate, bro. It really is though, because they got Gilmore, they got all these other secondary pieces, and that offense just completely obliterated itself.
Mm-hmm. You have Detroit versus Seattle.
Give me Detroit.
Yeah, I'm gonna ride with Detroit. I think Pete is on the way out. I think Russ is trying to find a way to keep sabotaging it because he's been playing like crap to get out of there.
Mm-hmm.
Minnesota versus Green Bay. I think it's going to be a slaughter in Green Bay. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to say, this is my house. I think this is going to be one of his staple games to say why he's the MVP. Because everybody's going to be like, oh, my God. Because, again, I keep trying to tell you, Mike, everybody lives in the now. Now. Right in the moment. Everybody's present of the moment.
You're one of them.
Huh?
You've become one of them.
No, I'm not.
I'll tell you this, Coach. Let me break it down for you.
I'm listening.
This man said, this is my last year. Said it straight up. Posted a picture of him saying it's the last dance. Devontae Adams posted that same picture saying it was the last dance. He reconstructed his contract saying, this is it. I'm done. I don't want to do this no more here. I'm done regardless of what happens. I am leaving. He said a championship, verbatim, a championship does not change my decision at the end of the year. And my decision is going to come very fast after the season is over. He said that just the other day. Now, he comes in to the NFC North, sweeps the Bears, sweeps the Lions. Now he's about to go off and sweep the Purple Eaters. They're gonna go off. He's gonna go off and beat the Vikings. I'll give him that. He might mess around and even win a championship.
Mhm.
But this is the last dance, coach. And I'm telling you, that is where you are a prisoner of the moment of, oh, well, he's doing good, so I think he'll stay. He's made
No.
Prisoner of the moment.
No. First off, we all knew he was gonna do good. That wasn't even the question.
Oh no, we knew he was gonna be good. I didn't say that. I didn't say it. Changing the conversation.
Here's what I say. Aaron Rodgers 38, 39. So he has maybe 2 more years, 3 years max. Let's not put him in the category with Brady. Because Brady's on some other stuff. Because he changes his diet.
Yeah, I'll give him 2 more, 3 more, maybe.
3 more years. So now that he looks at that, so where do you fit?
Right.
Give me three teams that he can automatically make it to the Super Bowl.
My biggest ones: Miami, Pittsburgh, with Tomlin. Got to be Tomlin. It's not nowhere new. He ain't gonna go nowhere with a new head coach. But I think Miami's an interesting situation with Fuller, Gesicki, Parker, Gaskins, and then you got Jalen Waddle. You got a great defense there. You got guys who want to fight. So I think Miami would be a good place for him. Pittsburgh could be a good place for him. I think Najee's solid. Najee's your little Aaron Jones 2.0. I like Johnson. Juju and Claypool got a lot of growing up to do. So I don't like them. But you got Ebron, you got a bunch of guys that you could work with. That defense is still solid when healthy. You got TJ Watt, got a lot of guys. And I think those are the main places to me where I think you could go.
He won't go to Miami because he sucks in Florida. And that's farther away from where he wants to be.
I think that's such a stupid take though.
No. He sucks in Florida, but listen.
Right, but he just doesn't play there a lot.
But it's farther away from where he wants to be. He wants to be closer towards California, just for the fact of the matter, because he wants to be the host of
Jeopardy. Right.
That's what he really wants to do. So by me saying that, I can see Pittsburgh. I agree with you. I think that only depends on the money wise.
Mm-hmm.
But that's it. Those are only two. Even if you want to say Miami, those are the only 2 teams.
Right. I would say maybe the 49ers.
No, he's not going. No.
But that's a whole thing to where it's just difficult because then why did you take Trey? You know what I mean?
That's what I said. That was before the draft. I don't think he's so. This is why I say Aaron Rodgers is going to stay. You got 2, maybe 3 more years max. Right. You could talk Devontae to stay in. With your team right now assembled, you at least know for the fact that you at least can make it to the NFC championship. At least.
Right.
Also, on top of that, because all the receivers, everybody around you is going to get better. The receiver core has gotten better. And then on top of that, you got to realize the Vikings are who they are. They're in disarray. The Chicago Bears. Huh?
I wouldn't say that.
Yeah.
No, I would say the Vikings are getting a lot closer. I think their problem is Zimmer.
Well, but we say that, but you don't know who. Now the question is who they hire as the next head coach.
Right.
Are they going to go more offensive minded? They're going to go more defensive minded? Who's going to stay? Who's going to go? So at a team that's 7-8 right now, they're in disarray. The Bears, you don't know what the hell they're going to do.
No
and then the Lions, don't get me wrong, Lions, Dan Campbell's doing his thing.
They're a ways away.
But
Rodgers will be out the door by the time they come up.
But that's what I'm saying. That's 3 years. So you're not really in those 3 years. And if you think about it, 3 years, Saints is not going to be the same. Tampa Bay is not going to be the same. They're going to be looking for a quarterback. 49ers, depending. Rams.
The Bears will probably still be looking for something.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like, I'm just saying the bigger picture when everybody, and you kind of get your way with Green Bay.
Right.
So, and that's the only reason I'm saying everybody's like saying, okay, Denver and all these places. Aaron's not 35.
Right. I just, Coach, my big thing though is as of right now, like, I ain't hating on you, bro. I'll never hate on you. You my brother. But when a man looks at you straight in the face and says, I don't want to be here, and you're like, I think he's going to stay. Like, I'm just like, as of right now, I got to take that for what it is.
Hey, guess what, Mike?
I just have to take that for what it is. That's a
Mike,
man's word. I'm going to hear him out.
Mike, can I ask you a question? You've been in a relationship, right? You're in a relationship, correct?
I am. We're going through it right now, but I
am. No. Listen. So let me ask you this: having not once in your head or any relationship, I don't even want to say that because you say y'all going through stuff. I've been in relationships in the past, and I told a girl, you know what? I don't want to be with you. I don't like you. A week later, 2 weeks later, when you start looking around, you're like, damn, I actually do miss this girl.
Right.
I just think when you go when people
that's my thing though, Coach. That's the perfect example. See, he don't know that he misses them yet. He's still there. He's still where you were.
But no. When
I hate it here.
When February, March hits, and you get to looking at teams, because his agent, I guarantee his agent is gonna get a list of every team that wants them. Here's their game plan. Here's what they got on the roster. Here's who you're throwing with.
Right.
And here's who you're playing against. Like, he's gonna get that. And what people in general, you're always 9 times out of 10, you go for familiar.
Right.
Green Bay's familiar. He's comfortable. That's just my opinion. I mean, that's another time because we running short on. Hey, last game. Let's get this last game, and we got to wrap it up because we way over.
Oh yeah.
Cleveland versus Pittsburgh.
I'm gonna say Pitt just because it's Big Ben's last go, and I'm gonna give him that respect. So I'm gonna say Pittsburgh.
I'm with you. His last hoorah. But that's it, guys. Hey, I want to wish everybody a happy New Year's.
Yes, sir.
Mike, any last words, sir, before we head on out?
It's 2022. You know what that means, Coach?
What that means, sir?
Fire Nagy.
Hey, fire Nagy. There you
go. Nagy. That's all I got.
Hey, tune in next Sunday. Boom. We'll pretty much get ready to talk about the playoffs and everything. Hey, wish everybody the best. Hey, we out.
Whole sports all plays. Yeah. Whole sports all plays. Whole sports all plays. 365, we making up plays. You talking the game, get you to the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. Whole sports all plays.